Good afternoon, PMAppers, and to our dear viewers. Welcome to the motivated program here at PMAP, the People Manager on Cam. This is an online show of the People Management Association of the Philippines, or PMAP, the premier organization of HR professionals, people managers, and leaders in the country. Thank you for joining us once again in this afternoon filled learning about people, leadership, human resources, innovation, and business. I am Juan Miguel G. Rivera, a research associate at PMAP, and I will be your anchor host for today. I'm so excited to be with you all on this Wednesday afternoon as we have an exciting episode lined up for you. This show is every third Wednesday afternoon of the month, and our meaningful conversations in every episode focuses on people, human resources, and business. This May is our third episode for 2023, focusing on HR practices and team innovation for our two segments, Must and Anticipate This. The Must segment provides us the opportunity to have meaningful conversations on what is vital and critical importance in people and businesses, particularly on its current issues that are non negotiables. While the Anticipate This segment focuses on innovations, inventions, breakthroughs, and or even regenerative transformations that we have to look forward to so that we are up to date in supporting the people in our organizations and eventually the business of our companies. So tune in and we invite you to stay with us until 2 p.m. and connect with us by sending out your comments or questions in the comments section. Now let us all get the ball rolling by going to our first segment, which is Must, where the trends and happenings that you simply cannot miss are in the spotlight. And for our Must this month, we have the Must Talk About topic, which is how to win the battle for talent with integrated employee recognition. Now, to join us in talking about integrated employee recognition, we have the Director for Business Development for Asia Pacific of OC Tanner. Let us all welcome Mr. Russell Flint.
Thank you, Migs. Wonderful pleasure to be here. And it's nice to be back with PMAP. I did a session with you just a few weeks ago, Migs. So we're sort of extending on that a little bit today. So pleased to be back here again. Are you comfortable if I share my screen now and jump in?
Oh, we're still waiting for it to, from our end.
Pardon, Migs?
Oh,
Are you
we're still
comfortable for
waiting
me to
for
share my screen now?
Yes, sir. Sure.
Thank you. All right, let's just make sure this comes up well. There we go. Fantastic. We're in flow now. And just as a quick introduction, I like to. We spoke a little bit about a few weeks ago about this idea of recognition and its importance in shaping culture. So I'd like to start with a story, and this is a really interesting one that I've been lucky to be a part of. This gentleman that you're looking at is Edgar. He grew up in Colombia. He's from humble beginnings, and today he is the Chief Operating Officer of BHP, one of the largest mining and resources organisations in the world. And just a few years ago, Edgar celebrated his 30-year anniversary with the organisation, and we were lucky at OC Tanner to play a role in creating an incredible moment around this milestone. So in partnership with BHP, we helped them collate messages, stories, photos, videos, and anecdotes and testimonials that talk to the contribution that Edgar had made over time. Mike, who was Edgar's leader at the time, decided a few months out that he was going to do something really special for Edgar. And with those messages and stories that were collated, they were prepared in this beautiful kind of piece that Edgar took as a keepsake from his anniversary. You can see excuse me, it's not good with the virtual background, but some beautiful messages from colleagues all over the world. And BHP worked to set up a barbecue and bring people together on the anniversary day. This was something that was really important to them. So 150 people from across the organisation came together, and as people assembled, Mike Henry, Edgar's leader, as I said, and now the CEO of the organisation, declared the real reason that people were gathered. And Edgar was genuinely surprised, and they'd had a lot of fun with this moment. And his face when Mike he referred to his family having been there, they'd been sort of brought through backstage, as you will, and you know, he naturally got really emotional through that moment, shed a tear as team members stepped up and told stories and spoke about Edgar's contribution, the critical role he played both from a business and a meaningful role to the difference in individuals all over the world. They then paused and they shared a collation of video messages from all over the world, including one person who they managed to get a testimonial from, who had worked with Edgar from the time he was a work experience student back in Colombia, South America. And at the conclusion of this was sort of 30 minutes of really powerful moments and powerful storytelling. Edgar gathered himself and was able to express his gratitude. And his words were, "I can only say big thanks for what you did today. I know you were behind the scenes planning all of this, and this can only happen when people like you who care about others put your minds and hearts together to make people feel special. This was so well managed and such a huge surprise that I still don't know when all of this happened. I didn't have a clue. You made my day and made me feel special in the organisation I've dedicated my life to." And this feeling and this moment, I've sort of tried to capture through this story and some of the images that you see here. This is what recognition and ultimately appreciation is all about. It's also what, for us at OC Tanner, this is what we've dedicated our purpose to as an organisation, is helping organisations create this feeling and create it at scale. When you think of large number of employees, it's how do you kind of create a movement around this mindset of creating these deep, authentic moments of appreciation for employees. And it's about how do you capture these moments that matter and turn them into just a way of being, a way of habit in your organisation, so that you have these big moments like the Edgar one that I've described, but also smaller everyday moments that just happen naturally in the culture of your business. We've been doing this for 95 years. We're a very old company, and this is from our headquarters in Salt Lake City in the US, and our operations all over the world. We're still a family enterprise. We've got 1,600 employees worldwide, and more than 50 now in Asia Pacific, as we grow in support of creating you know, really powerful employee experiences under this purpose of helping people thrive at work. So in terms of our share today, I'm going to talk a little bit about people challenges in the Philippines, and we've drawn this from some global research that we've been able to do, also some Asia specific research, and also I work with organisations in the region. I'm going to talk then about the mindset of how do you create frequent, positive, everyday employee experiences that start to create this movement. And then to build on that, we'll share the importance of recognition and the role it plays within these frequent positive experiences that we encourage every organisation to aspire to. So if we start with the challenges, we're a private, as I said, private philanthropic organisation, and we invest heavily in research. We have an annual global culture report. It's the largest study of its type globally and takes input from 36,000 plus employees and managers and HR leaders, chief people officers globally. What's important for this conversation is more than 30% of these research touch points are based across Asia Pacific. So it's a really well balanced view for organisations across the region. And we've got some copies. We'll share a code at the end or a link at the end of this presentation so that everyone here has access to that research. It's a really good read. But if I start from the research and just take a step back and talk about what culture is. And the way I think about it is workplace culture is the heart and soul of your organisation. Call it the social operating system that influences what is valued and how people work and how the organisation interacts with each other, its customers, and the extended community that you're a part of. think about it as the beliefs and attitudes and the behavioral norms that form the essence of an organization. You start to see when it's effective, you see it's visible in how work gets done and how communication flows and how relationships and interactions function. But it also influences how organizations respond to change. And as we've seen over recent years, it can propel or restrain the best laid strategies that you might have created. So for those organizations that are able to create great, powerful workplace cultures, you have an incredible advantage. You attract talent and you mobilize innovation, you develop naturally through your way of operating the really strong leaders that it sort of becomes the organization's muscle memory for ongoing success. So let's talk about what culture is and cultural factors that OC Tanner have found through our research. This was actually an output of a study we did in 2019, and our research team identified the 6 essential elements of a great workplace culture. So these are aspects of company culture that employees themselves identified as most meaningful to them. And they're grounded in the employee experience, fundamental building blocks of this idea of great culture. And we call them the talent magnets, essentially because they attract and connect people to the places that they work. When they're present, they will attract the best people to your organization. They draw out your employees, call it inherent desire to do meaningful work and make a difference in the workplace. They also help to retain employees who may have the opportunity to leave. So when we help organizations think about, how do you develop culture in the organizational context, we use this as a really kind of natural, helpful construct for developing plans and evaluating initiatives, but also in measuring the impact of culture building efforts, because this is something that you can actually measure over time. When you look at these, and I'm happy to quickly give a summary of them, we talk about purpose as the higher organizational kind of call to action. What are we here for? What are we trying to do? What's the difference that we make in society as a collective? Why does the organization exist? When we talk about opportunity, we refer to this as the natural kind of ability or opportunity to grow as an employee. It's not just about linear career progression, it's also about the opportunities for learning. Really important when you think about how do you actually retain employees is they feel like they have a sense of opportunity within the organization. Success is about, I feel like I play on the winning team. Really simple one. I feel like my work, I feel like we're winning and I feel like my work is contributing to that success. Appreciation is the idea that you're seen, heard and valued for the work that you do and the person that you are and what you bring to the organization. And then the last two, we talk about well-being as holistic well-being. It's not just about the physical, it's also about the mental well-being, the psychological safety. I feel safe when I come to work. And then finally, leadership, one of these pieces that unites all of the 5 other elements. I feel this sense of connection, not just to my direct leader, but to the senior leaders. And I feel like the organization has a direction, there's a care for people. There's support and coaching and all those sort of things available to me. And there's this inherent trust in that leadership group. And with this in mind, each year our research goes out and conducts focus groups and interviews and undertakes extensive surveys. As part of this, we score many key countries in each of these areas based on worker sentiment in that research that we do. So the research for our 2023 report was conducted this time last year. And Philippines comparatively has a really positive rating compared with other markets in Asia. So as an example, countries such as Singapore and Japan scored lower in the sense of purpose, sense of leadership and well-being. And I know that will create some pride from the audience to know that the Philippines, there is that strong sense of, call it sense of care across the workforce that I've certainly felt when I've been in Manila in recent times. But these talent challenges that we all know and we talk and we write about as we've come out of the pandemic has changed some of this, and employees are demanding more from their employers, not just in Philippines, but every part of the world. And the themes that came out and the themes that were helping organizations in the Philippines think about now are this idea of how do we create a strong sense of connection, community and belonging? How do we actually bring people together and unify and again, create this sense of being seen, heard, and valued. How do we foster a sense of fulfillment? And fulfillment means different things to different people, but how do you capture that idea and create unique employee experiences that help people strive to that kind of utopia of being fulfilled in the work that you do? Critically, in that wellbeing angle, how do we manage burnout? And this is especially important in your leadership cohort, particularly your frontline and middle management leadership group, who have been in the middle through all of that change. It's been the pressure from executives from a push down perspective, pressure from employees as things change, and the need and the ask of employees for more support. That group has felt an incredible amount of pressure that really has culminated in high levels of burnout over the last 12 months, something to be hypersensitive to. And it's also how do we, at a simple level, and perhaps an outcome of those other three, but how do we stop employees from looking elsewhere? And that's where in our work, we come to this idea of peak experiences and just the importance of the employee experience in this hypersensitive environment that we're all operating in. And the help that we're providing organizations in the Philippines is how do we create this working environment that means people don't want to leave. So over the past few years, the phrase employee experience has become associated with the employee life cycle, which when you think about it, effectively takes a time-based view of significant career events. So companies have tended to concentrate employee experience efforts on these major milestones, starting with the attraction of talent, taking it through recruitment, and how do we create a positive impression of the organization, employer branding, through onboarding, developing talent, working to retain that talent, and then at some point that separation. So it's a really simple view from a time perspective. And most organizations will implement company-wide programs around these stages to reach employees and try to provide an improved experience as they progress through each milestone. There's also been a considerable focus through this time in this high inflation environment that we're in, of focusing on remuneration and compensation in trying to create a sense of loyalty. And I'm a big believer that remuneration compensation, it's a really important hygiene factor. It's critical and it needs to be right. But in essence, it's not going to change the way an employee connects with an organization, with their leader and their colleagues. It's not going to impact how someone feels coming to work each day and the work that they do and that idea of wanting to make a difference. So again, in the research that we do, we've identified that employees don't think about their experiences in terms of where they are in that life cycle. They're not thinking that I'm being onboarded, developed, or retained today. And employees are thinking about their personal experience as a collection of thousands of daily interactions that they have in the organization, both positive and negative. And it's sort of a picture of every conversation they've had, email they've read, the posters they've seen in the office environment, digital screens that they might have seen through communication channels. It could be appreciation they've received or not received, and how they're treated by leaders, how easy or difficult it is to get resources, answers, information, or challenges they have with processes along the way. But what the employees experience is not this once or twice a year HR initiative that's tied to a particular life cycle stage, but it's all these micro experiences that they encounter in each and every working day. And it's the aggregation of those thousands of little experiences that end up forming and shaping the perception of what their employee workplace culture is like. So it's 92% of employees that see their experience, their employee experience, as this everyday experience. So this visual that you're looking at now is representative of how employees view these everyday experiences. Most employee experiences are in that zone of neither positive or negative, and they're considered neutral and represented by the black dots that you see in this screen. These are normal, forgettable experiences that blend in with your daily routines. But some experiences, both positive and negative, stand out and go a long way in forming and shaping our overall employee experience. And these are represented by the green and the red dots respectively. So I know from chatting with the research team when they were conducting the focus groups that drew out some of these insights. And you start to talk to people about things that they remember and things that the positive experiences. And I recall chatting with one of our research leaders that speaks about the project as someone telling a story about a project that they'd completed. And the words they used were, "This project was one of my greatest accomplishments." They lit up, their body language changed when they had the opportunity to share it. And this is an example of what a meaningful peak experience is, that is a direct result of doing great work. Peak experiences can also be associated with other elements of the talent magnets that I described earlier. Purpose and a connection to that and a moment around that, or opportunity, a chance to grow and learn, or well-being, someone taking that extra moment to express care and understand care. So for just a personal example from myself was a couple of days ago, I had a really positive one-on-one with my leader, the VP of Asia Pacific for AC Tanner. It was a simple, effective connection point. We'd worked through a couple of challenges, had a little bit of whiteboard time, and I sort of consider that one of these smaller green dots. I'm still thinking about it a couple of days later and thinking about it from a positive standpoint. And what we need to think about as leaders and as HR professionals is, how do we create these peak moments, these smaller, micro or larger memorable moments, rather than trying to perhaps think about or focus on the negative, eliminating those negative or value moments. And this is because the peak experiences, as we've identified them, last twice as long from a mindset perspective as the negative or the valley experiences of the same magnitude. So peak experiences cast this positive shadow on your overall perception of our employee experience for the 2 weeks prior and the 2 weeks after that experience that they have. And then on the flip of that, these valley or negative experiences only color the previous and the next week. So capture less mindshare. And I think the message in this is, historically, we've tended to design initiatives that address the lowest common denominator to avoid any chance of a negative experience. Really hard to do. And the data from the research, and again, we'll share this post today, is really clear that our focus should actually be on the opposite. In other words, how do we play to win rather than lose, or how do we create this natural positivity through the workplace? So if connections are built by these peak experiences, what are the experiences that we talk to organizations that are most meaningful to employees? And again, it comes back to that idea of great workplace culture. And these 6 areas that, again, from the lens of the employee, are most important to them. These are these 6 talent magnets, the perceptions of their experiences and motivate them to do their best work, increase loyalty. And essentially, they should serve as a compass or a guide, if you will, for leaders when they're thinking about, how do I create, in my workplace, how do I create experiences that are actually going to be most meaningful to employees? From a HR perspective, how do we do this and help our organization do this at scale? And it's these leaders that continually find ways to connect their people to these 6 cultural factors that are going to be the most effective in creating high performance and caring work environments, but also actually ultimately retaining and creating loyalty from their teams. And this introduces then the idea of recognition. So we see it as truly critical in creating these frequent positive experiences. And it's the ultimate means with which to create these regular, frequent peaks. There's a recipient of recognition, as a giver to create a moment for someone else, but also then as an observer and seeing someone have a positive moment. And when recognition is done well, not only improves feelings of appreciation, but significantly impacts all those other talent magnets that we've described. So as an example, recognition improves the probability of an employee feeling a strong sense of care and well-being by up to 16%. And it also improves the probability of employees feeling a positive sense of leadership in the organization and with their direct leader by 23%. So really powerful, simple positives that it can create across the full wheel of experiences. So then we come to an organizational standpoint. How do you do this idea of recognition well at scale? And talking with organizations and some of the consulting we've done, we're helping a few organizations overcome this inherent shyness. There's this natural warmth in the Philippines, but sometimes people are a little uncomfortable expressing their gratitude. And so tools, strategies, and simple moments are really important in helping kind of create a movement around this idea of recognition. A little over 2 years ago, AC Tanner published what we call our recognition integration model to help organisations evaluate and measure how well recognition is a part of the everyday culture and employee experience. The organisation, and I'll draw attention to two of these that we're helping organisations with, both in the Philippines and across APAC, and that is the organisation recognises both big and small moments, and that recognition is consistently seen throughout the organisation. So on the former, and I described the Edgar experience, this idea of big and small moments, that BHP big moment started to create a movement around this ideology of careers, celebrating careers. And BHP now have these moments that just happen habitually in all their different workplaces around the world to not only celebrate the big 30-year moments like the Edgar one, but also the 1 year and the day one and these other smaller moments that are important in someone's career. On the latter, and that idea of recognition being consistently seen throughout the organisation, organisations tend to be quite good at practicing bigger event-based dinner type recognition and gala balls and so on, dances and shares, which is so powerful in your part of the world. But there's also this opportunity to just create simple, routine, everyday moments of encouragement and gratitude. And this is where some of that everyday peak experience piece lies. Unfortunately, when you look at this, only 21% of organisations score highly in this idea of integrated recognition. So there's much opportunity out there, not only for recognition, but for the impact organisations can create. And many organisations, particularly across APAC, are missing out on these opportunities to create everyday experiences in this space. And the question in this pays partly about how do we do this at scale. So that's what we're going to explore a little bit. And as a start, we've found that peak experiences through someone's early tenure with your organisation are fundamental in shaping how they feel from an organisational standpoint, how they feel connected to your purpose and so on. And our research defined elements are typical or foundational in these experiences that you can see listed here. And essentially, these moments are designed to quickly create connection and belonging. So you think about simple things like a note signed by the leader or a welcome card that each member of the team signs and is gifted to someone either before they start with the organisation or on that day. Doesn't cost much, but it's powerful in that moment of feeling appreciated, feeling like you're going to matter in this organisation. And these ideas that you see here, they're really practical tips on things that you can include in your early tenure to help people feel appreciated. And importantly, with this mindset, recognition doesn't always have to be about the work. It's important to make it about the person and who they are as well. And when you look at the opportunities that employee recognition starts to present, when you think about these little moments along the way, you start to see these natural peak experiences. Starbucks is an organisation that we work with in a number of parts of the world, and they do just this. And we helped them do some journey mapping to identify all the opportunities that they could demonstrate care and appreciation to employees. Some really simple, like that welcome idea that I just described, through to giving store leaders some tools to just create thank yous and encouragement and acknowledgement of good performance and good customer service in the moment. To the bigger ones, the milestones or things that might be a company milestone that are then celebrated across all employees, can create these powerful natural moments along the way. Another example of an organisation that in APAC that's really captured these bigger moments really well recently is Mandai Wildlife Group, but many in Asia know it much more simply as the Singapore Zoo. And recently they had 2 employees that achieved the incredible milestone of 50 years. You think about that, as a tenure and loyalty, really powerful. And we helped Mandai celebrate these employees with custom branded symbolic pieces, a beautifully kind of trophy piece in the number 50, personalised to the individual. And Mandai also took the step to then celebrate these individuals publicly through LinkedIn, sharing examples of these 2 individuals and the celebration that they created for them at a dinner. And when you start to create these powerful moments, it's really cool to see the sense of pride that employees can have. And we see organisations and many of our clients across the region, their employees sharing through channels like LinkedIn and their personal social channels, the pride that they have in experiencing these moments. And when you do this well, it's something that we study again directly with our clients. When someone has a powerful experience, it creates this deeper sense of connection to, I feel appreciated for my contribution. The organisation cares about me and makes me feel part of the organisation. So these pink and these orange bars are where someone has had an ideal presentation experience, or similar to what I described for Edgar, versus the lower amount when milestones perhaps aren't celebrated the same way, or there's no presentation. You can see a profound difference in the way it sort of creates this sense of appreciation and belonging. Another organisation, and when you think about that idea of recognition being consistently seen in the organisation, an organisation that does this well is Insurance Australia Group, one of the largest insurance organisations in the Asia Pacific. They have around 20,000 employees across many countries. And a couple of years ago, we worked with them to redesign recognition to align with and enable some refreshed, what they called behavioural goals and a refreshed values and purpose set. And as many finance organisations kind of have, it had a really deep kind of focus on risk culture as well as part of that. How do we create stories of people doing the right things by customers and from a risk standpoint within the business? So we spent time working with them to do interviews with executives, understand their leader capability, and also to understand employee perceptions. And the outcome was a relaunch of recognition, a little more technology enabled and integrated with business tools like Microsoft Outlook and so on. But within 12 months of the launch, they were celebrating in excess of 200,000 acts of appreciation. The key to IAG's success was the human-centered design in this and the thinking. And I'm conscious of time here, so I'm just going to plow through. But we created this natural structure that was communicated to employees and helped everyone understand, how do I recognize someone for these smaller moments? How do I capture the bigger moments and really truly celebrate those? And the thinking then created this really nice balance with just everyday encouragement and gratitude to the recognition of performance through heart awards, through certificates auto-generated that leaders could just have at their disposal to give out as awards were approved. And then balance that to the inspirational high performance awards that created this natural storytelling through their internal communication channels. And sitting above all of this was education for leaders of the importance of this and how to create, from a practical standpoint, these moments naturally. And as we capture this and debriefed with them, their head of culture, or executive overseeing culture, talked about it as, while certainly not a silver bullet, recognition has played a significant role in supporting the embedment of our values and behaviours and will continue to be an important proof point in our progress. We continue to listen to the voice of our people, celebrate achievements, both big and small, and create meaningful, authentic moments of appreciation at every opportunity. And perhaps most profoundly for IAG, we actually helped them prove an outcome in terms of these recognition moments and the impact they were having from an employee sentiment perspective. So marrying up individual recognition moments with their engagement survey results. And what we identified was a simple leader formal recognition moment each month had a dramatic impact in how someone felt pride in working for IAG, whether they were reporting discretionary effort or increased discretionary effort in their work, but also their net promoter score and recommending IAG as a great place to work. So really cool for them to be able to kind of demonstrate this value from these individual moments. And then finally, the learnings I take from that are the importance of the education, but also creating the right tools available for people, making it natural. So for AC Tanner, essentially, our belief is when recognition is given and received and observed often, where both these small and large outcomes are called out in personal and meaningful ways, over time, recognition moves from something we do to a reflection of who we are. And it starts to power this mindset around those 6 cultural factors I talked about earlier, to tie it back to that. And ultimately, when that's happening and it's happening habitually, you start to impact on that frequent experiences. So the solutions and the tools that we offer are intended to help organisations make this easier to do at scale. And the research that we do gives you sort of a blueprint of how do I think about culture in my organisation? How do I respond to these trends around the need for belonging, connection, community, fulfilment, and to manage burnout? So you can access the report and the research that I described earlier through this website link, but also please follow us through LinkedIn. We're regularly sharing white papers, articles, and insights. And feel free to connect with me personally. Love talking about these topics. So looking forward to traveling back to Manila again in the near future. It's a wonderful place to be. So that's a wrap from me. PMAP team, happy to hand over.
Thank you, Mr. Russell. And there we have it for our must segment. For those who are not able to catch up with Mr. Russell's valuable presentation, let me share with all of you just 3 points that greatly resonated with me. First, culture is the heart and soul of an organization. Second, giving due recognition to our employees do not only boost the morale of our people, but also increases the value of our businesses because we acknowledge the importance of augmented human capital. Third, and lastly, a work culture grounded on recognition and appreciation fosters a strong feeling of fulfillment. Thank you once again, Mr. Russell Flint and OC Tanner, for sharing such valuable information with us and with our dear viewers and listeners. We truly have learned a lot from you. For all of our viewers out there, I know all of you are curious about OC Tanner and the brilliant work culture that they create. And so let us all watch this video for us to learn more about them. And there you have it. Thank you once again, Mr. Russell and OC Tanner. Now, on to our next and last segment, which is Anticipate This, where we talk about the upcoming events, innovation, ideas, and breakthroughs that we need to look forward to. For this segment, we're going to talk about the winning innovation at our second PMAP Innovation Hackathon. And joining us today is the winning team, Team Dismap. We have Melanie Colatrava, Aljon Fernandez, Christian Chloe Valencia, Jocelyn Osena, Franzo Martin, and with together with their advisor, Mr. Fernando Haminola Jr. Good afternoon, Team Dismap.
No, nating
Good afternoon, sir.
wala tayong
Hi, yes, good afternoon. I hope that you can hear me clearly. Yeah. Let's start with a short introduction, individual introduction. You can introduce yourselves, your current grade, your strand.
So, good afternoon, everyone, and good afternoon to all the viewers of this live. And we are the team this month, the second winning team of this PMAP Innovation Hackathon. So, I'm Melanie Colette Traba, a graduating student of Cagayan State University, Carig Campus, taking a Bachelor of Science in Computing Sciences. And this is my team members.
Good afternoon po. I'm Jocelyn Osenya, BSCS student din po and graduating student.
Good afternoon po. I'm Aljan Fernandez, also a fourth-year college student and also graduating student.
Good afternoon. I am Franzo Martin. I am a third year BSCS student. Unfortunately, my fellow third year BSCS student, Christian Chloe Valencia, is unable to attend.
So it's okay. So hi, good afternoon, guys. So this can could just be of the casual inter conversation para di kayo kabahan. We can also speak Filipino. So kung ano yung preferred language nyo, okay lang. So let's talk about your innovation, yung nagpanalo sa inyo sa second hackathon, innovation hackathon namin. Ano yung parang naging reason or what was your innovation all about?
So, sir, our innovation is all about developing a fall armyworm disease and mapping and mobile app. So, our value proposition um, will discuss by Frienzo, sir.
So, in line with what Miss Melanie said, I would like to present to you our value proposition. LGUs and PCIC in corn growing regions need to locate, map, validate, certify, and ensure FAO infested farms and growers. We'll use our decision support system and mobile apps to reduce human error and resources to report, validate, track, and certify FAO infestation, and to increase HR productivity and accuracy of FAO detection, mapping, validation, forecast, certification, remediation, and timely release of crop insurance funds. Unlike manual LGU and PCIC processes, which are prone to errors, laborious, resources, and time consuming.
Thank you for that very comprehensive presentation, team. Yung tanong ko lang kung ano yung what was your innovation all about. Thank you for parang present yun na yung entire rationale ng study ng project niya. Pero that's okay. Like ito, thank you for telling us that part kasi it gives our viewers today a short background about the importance and significance ng ginawa nyo. So I won't dive into more of that since you were able to discuss it na. Let's talk about ano yung what difficulties emerged during your project implementation. Ano yung parang what did you face in your journey in implementing your project?
The difficulties naman po, sir, is since malayo po yung lugar dito po sa school po namin, yung one difficulties po namin is yung traveling po. Kasi malayo po siya. And then, another one po is yung sa unavailability of data na nakukuha po namin para sa project po na ito.
Noted. Now this question naman is for Sir Jam, your I'm pretty sure, highly intellectual coach. So Sir Jam, how did you guide the students in conceptualizing their innovation? So I know your role must have been so important and significant to their success. But how did you guide them into giving birth to this project?
As the coach, we assigned the topic to our students. This is after we joined the DUST and AIM. Asian Institute of Management Sparta Open Data Challenge for uh, Smart City Kawayan. So that started it all.
Noted, sir. So, for you, sir, from a personal standpoint, since it was your role as a coach was to give the idea to your students, tama, like what you have mentioned. How important it is for you, or for from personal standpoint, how important it is to inspire your students to create such innovations or to project these kinds of projects in school.
After we analyze the LGU Kawayan City's problems for various problems like healthcare, employment, and food security, um, corn is the world's largest staple food, is now under threat due to climate change by fall armyworm, and it happens in the hottest month of May every year.
Ooh, thank you, sir. So ano yung when you learned more about how the students presented their project, tapos yung parang the nitty-gritty parts of their project, ano yung naging initial reaction you, sir, or your feelings towards your students na hala, they were able to think more, they were able to dive more into what you initially suggested.
Our students are very quick to adapt. Uh, they are very good in programming in mobile apps, and they were able to map it using Google Maps. They were advised to talk to the LGU Piat Cagayan, where the first fall armyworm corn infestation was first validated in 2019. And it's around 1 hour drive from Tuguegarao City. LGU tracking, validation, and all those manual processes for fall armyworm for corn is crucial, as 8,000 hectares were damaged in 2022, and half of that in Cagayan Valley, because we are the country's corn capital. So we there is a problem about food security now. So we are trying to address that one.
Thank you, sir, for the sharing that information. Just to give a deeper context into the food security issue in Cagayan. Tama po ba ako sa Cagayan where you guys are from? So, ano po ba, is it just corn yung crop na parang facing the difficulty caused by yung worms, or may iba pang crops na kumbaga where these worms reside?
This the same disease is also threatening rice. It's
Ah,
just that
right.
rice is very highly. Uh, there are a lot of insecticides. That's why they could not grow in rice. But
Mm-mm.
if you have a garden close, they will attack that one. So it
Mm-mm.
depends on the it happens every May, the hottest month. So if you have an expected harvest on that in any crop, they will go there as a host because it's airborne, so they can travel.
That's really interesting kasi for example, ako nga research associate, I don't have that much knowledge into the project. So thank you for sharing such details sa viewers natin. Now we have an idea talaga kung how substantial your project has been to not only your school. I know your school is very proud of your team and your students and to use your jam. And I'm pretty sure na your entire local government unit is also proud of you with the innovation that you have thought of. So I just wanted to know how what are your plans, or have you already touched your prize? May ginawa na ba kayo with the prize you were able to win?
Actually, sir, hindi pa namin nagagamit yung price. So, naka-fund po kasi yun for our future developments for this concept. So, as in, naka-intact pa siya para sa amin na gamitin to for future.
Well, that's very nice. You know, one thing that I kind of resonate with you and your answers ng team. Grabe yung how your minds are really set like researchers. Like hindi lang kayo innovators, napaka-researchers niyo kasi yung your line of thinking is future forward. So ina-anticipate niyo na talaga na what comes after this project. And I hands down talaga sa inyo. So, for speaking of your next project, my next question is, what's the next step for your for the project? Like, how do you plan on improving or using it in the future? Ano yung mga next steps niyo with it?
So actually, sir, ang future step namin is we need to improve our GIS mapping, predictive analytics, and other features. Then pagkatapos po nun, we need to move to improve the business development partnership, and magse-set up kami ng CSU sign-off and startup company po.
How do you plan on parang addressing yung next steps niyo since you need help syempre. So ano yung how do you look at the bigger picture? Ano yung sino yung may tatap ba kayo outside your school or sino pa yung i-include nyo sa future plans nyo?
We plan to actually this has been filed for DOST funding. It's just that it takes time. If you propose now 2023, the funding will come on 2025. That's the deal. That's the government. So if you want to do it faster, you go to a private entity or join how do you call it, hackathon or an event that you can
Mm-mm.
probably attract angel investors to, because this is a worldwide problem
Mm-mm.
and you need how do you call partnership with NGOs, the Philippine Crop Insurance, and private entities who might want to dip their finances to fast track the development or business viability of this to the LGUs.
Okay. Thank you, Sir Jam. So ito yung last question na to. This is for all of you, syempre. Gusto din namin marinig yung ibang members. So, oo. So, ito, last question lang ko lang for all of you. What is your message to other innovators or to your stakeholders, perhaps, yung from may it be from private or public sectors? Ano yung message niyo for them about your project or your future projects na related to your topic? Ano yung masasabi niyo to your fellow researchers or innovators and to people who could provide you the capital, the funding in expanding your project?
Sorry, sir. Pwede pong pakiulit.
Ay, sorry ka. What's your message to your fellow innovators? Like yung mga kung hindi lang specifically sa schoolmates niyo like in general, yung ano yung masasabi niyo or what's your general message to your fellow innovators, to people in the public and private sector who could provide you the funding for the expansion of your project?
Sir, to the other innovators, um, ang message ko lang po is, I think, dapat mas pag-aralan pa nila yung innovation nila, and dapat meron silang step by step in improving it para maging successful yung innovation nila.
Yes, thank you. What about your message sa possible people na pwede maging angel investors niyo like what Sir Jam mentioned? What's your general message to them? How are you planning to reach out to them? Ay, nakamute ata kayo.
Naiya sila.
Ah,
Anyway, food security and climate change are the largest threat to humanity.
mm-mm.
El Nino ngayon for the next 6 years, plus diseases in crops. So we expect hunger to happen. I think even in the Europe, the rivers are drying up. So
Mm-mm.
including the war in Ukraine in the high cost of fertilizer, we are looking at a very big problem. So we need some innovative solutions in food security to combat climate change, and it will be too late to fund this in 2 years. If you can fund this one in within 2024 and roll it out with the LGUs, especially in the corn growing areas, and corn is the largest staple in the world. We can export this technology to Africa and other corn growing areas, so to save humanity.
Thank you, Sir Jam, for speaking on behalf of the team. And thank you as well to the entire team. Kasi, one thing that could be emphasized more from your project is how innovations and innovative ideas like such, that the one you presented, it gives us hope kasi. Like you're providing innovative solutions to an existing or an impending problem. And thank you so much to the entire team for thinking about this idea. So that is it for our anticipate this segment. Thank you so much once again, Team Dismap and Sir Jam, for sharing us your time and for such valuable information to our viewers. Congratulations once again for winning Team App's second hackathon. Thank you, everyone. And that is it for PMAP's episode for this month. We hope you have learned a lot from our short session. To all of our viewers, thank you so much for tuning in with us. Tune in again next month for the latest topics and discussions in the people management world. I am Juan Miguel G. Rivera, and this is People Manager on Cam. Oo, please. Naubos ko din yung tanong ko. Ang bilis-bilis namin. Gumawa na lang. Oo. Great. Yay. Tapos, naubos ko dito to.